Hey everybody, welcome to the garden. I hope you're having a great day. Shout out to the lemon and lime lovers and everybody in between. It's time for a market recap. Alright guys, so we're just going to do a recap. It's going to be mostly focused on Bitcoin, and I may talk about some altcoins at some point. But what I want to do is I'm going to show you this chart, but we're going to go to a Bitcoin chart, another one that's clean. But looking at this chart, this is clearly a chart that displays that I do have a long position. Again, it's a long swing position. It's like where we're DCAing into it. But I also want to talk about the stuff you're seeing on the chart before we transition to a clean chart. If you're looking at the arrow path, these were all, potential ideas of Bitcoin that I had drawn around this area here. And so far, the green path is playing out most clearly, right? And the green path is obviously the most impulsive, most bullish path. And it's actually been very accurate so far. This doesn't always happen, but generally you get the gist of what the structure of continuation will look like, because there's not that many variations. There are variations, but not that many. Obviously, you have to move up, and then you have some sort of grind lower, or you have some sort of grind sideways where it's just squeezing like this. Okay, so like it's always going to look generally in that sort of tone, right? And that's what we're getting here, where we've had a nice move up. We had the highest high peak, then we had a lower high peak, then another lower high peak, and then a higher high peak. But the higher high peak hasn't actually happened yet. So I actually see us on this part of the green path as of now, because we can match the highs together. So here's the highest high right here. Here's the lower high from that higher high right here, and then here's another lower high. Okay, and we can even match the lows. That's how accurate this path has been. So here's your low right here, and then here is the low right here, and then here is that lowest low right here. Okay, and now we're going to see this lowest low point here leads towards taking this high. That will then lead towards a higher high, and we'll see if we actually pull back and then make a higher low and then go up higher. Okay, that's definitely a possibility. I will touch on that a little bit more on the clean chart, but I just wanted to share that the mapping that I did so far is playing out relatively accurately, it's very bullish. I will say, before I go to the clean chart, Bitcoin, we draw out some levels. Bitcoin is very bullish, and I think if you're not on the long side, you're gonna be having a lot of struggling. At least when you're going beyond like short-term trading. So just be wary of that. Nothing has really changed regarding the trend. The trend is clearly to the upside, and it's very strong and very healthy, by the way. So we're looking for more upside in the lemon garden, and in all our swing trades, where I have a ton of swing trades, and majority of them are now just like break even, or they're just no risk on them. We've opened up a bunch of new ones, and so far they're going fairly well. And again, just the macro trend is to the upside. So if you want to make your life easier, don't go against that at least too heavily, unless you're doing some real short-term trading. Now, let's get to a clean Bitcoin chart so we can get a clean look at what's going on, and I can draw some levels and have you look at what I want you to see. So as you can see here, I have a channel, right? So Bitcoin's clearly in a descending channel structure. And again, that's just another sign of bullishness, because when you want to see price continuation, one of the best continuations that's a bullish continuation is a move up. So you're uptrend, and then you have a descending structure that's grinding lower, right? So that's kind of what you're seeing here, right? And you have this channel, and you look for signs of change within the channel. And we're actually starting to get the change within the channel. This is what preempted me to make this video. So as you can see, we've been making lower lows, okay? Lower lows and lower highs in this channel, but finally, it's a little premature. We'll have to wait and see. We're showing signs of finally making a higher low from the lowest low point, and that's usually your first hint from smart money of accumulation within a bullish structure, that you're going to have a transition within, right? A shifting. So look at the line, right? You're making lower lows, and then boom, right? You start to get the demand coming in, can't be hidden anymore, and this ultimately, if the structure validates, leads towards a bullish break. So we're getting a lot of signs now that Bitcoin is looking for continuation, and we may get it sometime next week. If it goes really slow, maybe in 2 weeks, but more likely next week. Now, where are we at currently? If we look at price, where are we making the higher low? Well, clearly we're just filling out this bullish fair value gap. So we've made our lower low. This caught a lot of shorts, probably late shorts, kicked out a lot of over leveraged longs, then immediately turned up, trapping those shorts and causing a lot of those over leveraged longs to probably open up again. And now they're getting kind of drowned here, right? So you're going to see this fair value gap continue to hold it as a floor for this higher low if we're about to validate this structure bullish. So far it looks like it. Now, if we also look right over here, what have we been doing but just mitigating this fair value gap? We have the wick here, and you had another retest of this level here. So this fair value gap's been fully mitigated. And we have a couple fair value gaps down here that have been completely ignored, right? So we have one right here where I think the wick just missed it right here. It just missed it. It might have tapped right on top of it. And obviously we have one right here that hasn't been touched at all. And this is interesting. The reason why I bring these two fair value gaps up, if you go up, to like maybe like Twitter or YouTube and at least some channels, a lot of retail traders are waiting for 55,000, 50,000, and some are even waiting for around like 48,000, under this consolidation. And the reason why that's important to realize that this zone down here is being targeted by retail is that's where dumb money is, right? If you have the majority of retail waiting for certain levels or zones, that's not where the smart money is. The smart money is either lower, where they're actually going to have price come lower and then zoom through those levels and frightening the retail money that wants to buy there to either not buy there, or if they bought, to then let it go lower. So they'll have a much deeper a level they want to buy smart money. Maybe it'll be like 45,000 or even 40,000, right? But oftentimes when you have this sort of context, and what I mean by context is you have a nice move up that leads towards a clear bullish structure that's descending, usually you're getting the accumulation of smart money above the zone dumb money is waiting to get into. Because you do this because you want to then have that dumb money chase as price starts to break, because then they'll have the FOMO feeling, right? So you're either going to have to impart fear into them, or you're going to give them greed, right? And to me, the structure that is being built here, if it validates, will definitely have them fear of missing out, and then the greed, right? So they'll go after it if it starts to break out. That seems to be the more likely path. And again, it's one of the reasons why we're long, not just Bitcoin, but so many positions in crypto. So again, if you're interested in the swing trade service, you can find the details down below in the description. Whether it's the Patreon or Discord, there's all the questions you need to get answered will be there. But yeah, so this is the general way we want to look at it. This is going to provide us all the information we need. If we hold this higher low from here, okay, if we make a higher low from here at all, whether it's here or right here, that alone is going to give you all the information you need that we're likely going to start breaking out really soon. All right. Now, if we do start taking out this low, obviously where retail's waiting, that's where price will probably go. But there's a very high chance we'll break lower, because you never want to be where the masses are. They're either going to be wrong and that price number gets there, or it gets overshot where they're waiting for it. Okay. Now, I was asked a question not too long ago, where do I see Bitcoin going? So, we've made new all-time highs, and if we have continuation from the structure, we're going to continue to make those new all-time highs. Well, from the original all-time highs, which is around like 69,000, give or take, if Bitcoin's healthy, with its age and just how its character is, it should be about 2 to 2.5x its all-time high. That's where Bitcoin will likely get to, potentially even more, but most likely at least 2x. So we're looking at anywhere between like 130, 140,000 to maybe even like the 180s, and then you're looking at another couple years of down after that. So if you've been following my analysis, my recaps, you know that I'm actually very bullish on the equity market as well. I know if you listen to other people, they're going to be a lot more bearish on when they look at like the S&P or something, but in my opinion, I think all the variables are there. I don't think the chart is nearly as bearish as people are painting it out to be for anything. I think the variables fundamentally are there because the Fed is no longer in a hiking environment. They're now looking to initiate a cut environment. When they do it, I don't know, but that's where we're at. And I just see, looking overseas, foreign demand for U.S. equities is going to increase because, as you're already seeing with some fiat currencies, namely the yen, they're failing. So you're going to have a lot of overseas money looking for safe haven, and safe haven is not just gold or not just crypto. Hopefully crypto plays that role, but not just crypto. But it's also the U.S. market. The U.S. market, the S&P, the dollar. These things are havens to other countries. And I really think people are underestimating how this is going to play out. This is going to be a major risk-on environment, in my opinion, until at least the end of 2026. So, us in Lemon Garden, at least if you're following me, I'm positioning myself and anyone who's following me to be extremely bullish. And so far, over the last almost 3 years now, it's been very successful. But to be completely fair, like you should be, in my opinion, this is just my opinion. Like I would be telling you to look to be getting long on a lot of things because this is not going to go away for years, in my opinion. Do not underestimate what the Fed's going to do. They're going to be cutting like crazy, and we're going to go into what I believe to be a hyperinflationary environment. And in that environment, you're going to see equities skyrocket, and hopefully crypto will do the same. We don't know because crypto's pretty new, but if it plays out how it has been, it will. Okay, so in my opinion, we're looking good. We should be looking for at least a breakout coming within the next 2 weeks. I think actually it could be sooner. Sometime next week. But yeah, we're looking really really good on Bitcoin. Now let's touch on some altcoins. Let's take a look at some. Let's take a look at some that we've opened up recently. So if you're not in the service, you're gonna get a quick view of some things I just opened up. Maybe last week. But I warn you, don't just take the position because you might see me in it. Again, I like to DCA into positions. I have a long plan on a lot of things. And it's not something where if it drops 20%, I'm getting out. It's a longer term view on how I do these swings. Again, if you want the details into that, I have that all written in the Discord in the Welcome to the Lemon Garden room. So you can find the details of that, but just for a warning. So let's take a quick look at like BNB, because BNB is actually a really interesting one. Again, BNB is also a really clear hint, at least right now, that there's a ton of demand in the market. If you look at this, it's clearly a bullish structure. Now, I teach this, but again, it's basic stuff. If you have a huge move up like BNB has had, and then you have a consolidation. I drew that a little bit off. You have a consolidation where you're going to make like equal highs but rising lows, essentially like this. Okay. What you're getting at is you're getting major, major, major demand coming into the market. Okay. And that is extremely bullish, where the accumulation is so powerful that it can't even descend. Okay, this is an extremely powerful structure, and if it validates bullish, you're looking at just straight up continuation, similar to this. Okay, so the altcoin like BNB is very very bullish, but it's not just BNB. You have a whole bunch of other altcoins that are kind of building out this structure, and then you have some like let's take a quick look at like Sushi. Right, Sushi is not the same. Right, so Sushi you can argue is a lot more bearish. But what's interesting about Sushi is where it's come down to. Just take a look at this. We pull back out, right? So let's go on the weekly chart, actually. Let's go on the weekly so it's a clear view. This is actually huge. This may not seem like a big deal, but it actually is. This here is a transition from the previous market. So, basically, to summarize this, this is a bear market. This here is potentially the beginning of a bull market for Sushi. Okay, so if we're looking at a vacuum, just picture this was the past, right? This was the past right here from this point on. This is the past, and this is all bearish. That's all bearish. Maybe not including the huge rise there, but you get my point. Since this is all bearish, This break implies that now a new chapter for sushi is beginning. And from this low, if we continue to make higher lows, so let's just say right here, let's just say this big wick ends up being a higher low. So for the next how many weeks, this may lead towards upside. So this is a very easy way to separate a market via bias. Okay, so you should be looking at sushi as anything that comes down on sushi, as long as this low doesn't get taken out, is an opportunity to get into a position that may play out as a huge macro position for you, where you can be in a long or be in spot for many weeks, maybe even months to years, depending on what's going on in the overall market. Now, short term, where do I see sushi getting to? I actually think we can see sushi get to like $1.35, maybe even $1.50 if we have a huge move up on Bitcoin over the next week or two. And as a swing trader, I will be looking to take some off around this area here, but I'll look to keep some on because I do think there's a potential possibility if this wick plays out as getting filled with demand, that we could see a move up all the way up towards this consolidation. And this is like around like a daily order block area, so there's definitely some upside in this consolidation towards this consolidation I can see coming. So there's a couple of positions in crypto right now that aren't even like that far off, right? So like you've had plenty of moves, like let's just go to AVAX real quick, that have actually moved already, right? There's nothing, it's really far off. Like this obviously this is one of our best trades in the service. This was a monster entry, but this move has happened. Now it doesn't mean it's not going to go higher, but it also is not something you want to go in heavily because it's already had its time. Whereas sushi, maybe INJ is going to set up again too. Probably not. This is going to take quite some time. This has also had a massive move. But something like sushi, something like ENJ as well is something else. Again, these things have not really set up to the point. Have not really maturated to the point where they're not an opportunity. These are all things trying to bottom out still from their previous market, right? So this is the previous market of ENJ. Now we're going to see if it's going to be able to hold the transitioning of that market to then start a whole new market, in this case to the upside. So if you're short, if you're like short-term trading, that's a whole different story. More power to you. But if you're like a short and you're like swing trading, I really implore you to relook at the charts, because the probabilities are highly against you. There's a really good chance you're going to get absolutely steamrolled, especially if Bitcoin starts to break above the levels I'm looking for to get through. Because once Bitcoin gets past the 68,000 zone, it's really a dangerous place to be if you're on the wrong side of it, because that there's not going to be much left to stop it to go after at least 74,000. Now, before I finish this off, I just want to talk about Bitcoin one more time and just kind of mention something here. So let's get rid of all this drawings here. Now this line is on my other Bitcoin chart, but I just want to highlight it again just because it's so important, and obviously this chart's a lot cleaner. But this low here on the weekly, right here, so it's about 64,650, give or take. It might be slightly different on different charts, but this is a major level, as you can see, and I've mentioned this actually in a couple other recaps, but the respect of this line here is what's dictating the impulsiveness of the weekly chart. As you can see, it's held that low for a bunch of weeks here, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, okay, 5 weeks, and it tested it the majority of those weeks. And then it finally lost that level, but immediately came back to test it as resistance. But the reason why this is important, where it's not going to actually hold this resistance, at least it's most unlikely to, is because the daily is showing us that there's no follow through to the downside, none at all. Us getting this potential higher low built in here is really going to push the weekly, potentially next week's candle, to challenge the high of this week's. And if it does validate where you have it trading above this week's high, ask yourself, how bullish will this start to look if you start to see a candle trading above this? That implies massive continuation that's going to very likely quickly take these highs. Okay, so this is one of the things where I do talk to people in the Discord about make sure to draw structures, make sure to kind of doodle around and have like ideas. Don't trade your ideas, but put your ideas on the chart and see how closely price might mirror it. And you'll start to find fractals in candles. You'll start to find fractals in price action and structures. And ultimately, you will start to be able to get better and more depth at mapping future paths, kind of like I did with Bitcoin here. Like, it's not a superpower, it's something I've practiced at. Having these three paths is really important, not because you're going to be right or wrong, but because you have a framework. If X should happen, this is what I'm going to do. Right? So you're going to be able to be nimble, you're going to be able to be patient, and you're going to be able to be vigilant. So you have to keep doodling on the chart. Don't listen to anyone else who says otherwise. There is no reason not to. You will start to become more adept at charting and pretty much creating potential paths that will play out or not. Okay, so that's it. That's pretty much it for this. It's just a little quick update. I just want to focus on crypto in general. Again, if you're interested in any of the services I provide, I do provide a day trading room where we trade Monday through Friday, usually in the morning about New York sessions. So usually have that going from like 8 a.m. to sometimes like 11:30 a.m. Sometimes we go a little bit further into like 12 p.m., 1 p.m. But that's about Monday through Friday. And I also have a tutoring service, so if you want to learn how to trade or learn how I trade, I also go through not just like my strategy, but I also go through something far more important, like how to actually create a successful risk profile, like how to actually trade like a professional. It's not about the strategy. There's so many strategies that can work. None of them will work if you don't have your risk management in order, and I can teach you how to actually do that. I also teach how you apply compounding interest in trading, which is what makes you rich. Okay, now it doesn't promise you'll be rich, but it makes you rich over time. So if you're interested in that, you can find the details to that service as well down below. And if you're interested in my swing trade service, which is by far my most popular service, we've been going for, I don't even know, we've been going for a couple years now. Let's just quickly look at this on the chart here. So yeah, here's like you can see all my swing trades that I've had in the past. So we've been going, let's go all the way up. My gosh, we're going since February 2022. Well, time flies. So it's been about a little over 2 years. So yeah, it's been great. It's been a really fun service, and I'm happy with how it's performed. Again, I'm not claiming it's going to be the best thing ever. It's not going to make you rich, not overnight at least, but it can definitely, hopefully, make some good changes in your life if you need it. But yeah, if you're interested in any of my services, you can find the details down below. And yeah, so guys, that's it. So everyone, remember, be patient, be vigilant, and be nimble. I love you guys. Take care. Bye.